You're watching additional content from Music and History. To watch the main episode, click the card in the top right corner. Unfortunately for all of the records we have of ancient Egypt, none of them are musical notation. All music was handed down orally, which perhaps suggests a great consistency over the 4,000-year dynastic period. It's unlikely that a music notation system ever existed. As for all of the depictions that we have of music, none of them include musicians reading from a score. So without proper music notation to study, musicologists have to study other things. Let's look at each element of music, starting with rhythm. We can learn a good bit about the rhythm from Egypt just based on how it's associated with dance. We know that a good portion of music, if not all, was meant to be danced to. Additionally, we know that these dances were accompanied by tambourine and clapping. This suggests music with a steady pulse, with emphasis given to strong beats. Now, about melody and harmony, a lot of different theories have been thrown out about the harmonic system used in ancient Egypt. One theory suggests that Coptic music from much later is consistent with ancient music, since the tradition was just handed down. This theory includes that Persians would eventually take Egyptian music back to their home and create what are now known as the Arabic scales. This could include pentatonic scales or different versions of heptatonic, and even scales that include quarter tones. Whether it's correct or not, modern depictions of ancient Egypt typically use the double harmonic minor scale. Many of the theories of harmonies are based on the finger holes of wind instruments. One flute found made the pitches E flat, F, G, and A flat. That's especially interesting considering that there's a good amount of evidence to suggest that the Greeks studied down in Egypt, including Pythagoras. Egyptian refugees lived in Greece, Greece had colonies in Egypt, Alexander the Great eventually took over Egypt. There was a lot of back and forth. And those four pitches are consistent with what would be known as the Greek diatonic tetrachord. The tetrachord being a system of organizing pitches based on the interval of a fourth. One theory suggests a pentatonic scale based on the instrument known as the zumara, or the double clarinet. This instrument had two pipes connected to a single mouthpiece. One acted essentially as a drone, while the other had 4 finger holes, meaning that 5 notes were possible. And while this could be taken to mean a pentatonic scale, it's also possible that that is just the number of fingers that a human has on one hand. Other double-piped instruments, including one known as the double oboe, have 4 finger holes per pipe, which allows for 8 notes, which some have taken to mean a heptatonic scale. Regardless of which tuning system was used, there is strong evidence to suggest that there was a standard tuning system. The very nature of ensembles dictates that there must be a tuning standard. Of course, the other option is just chaos. And anyone who has ever attended a middle school orchestra concert can back me up on that. Additionally, many of the stringed instruments are fretted, which gives further evidence to a standard tuning system. We know the most about Egyptian timbre, simply due to the number of actual physical instruments that have been uncovered. I've already mentioned some of them, but the Egyptians had a wide range of musical instruments. Drums and other percussion instruments such as the tambourine were in abundance, however none of them were pitched. Stringed instruments were all plucked, as there's no evidence of a bow. Many of these stringed instruments were fretted, but the lyre was not. Different harps ranged in number of strings from 3 to over a dozen. This has been theorized to suggest that different harps had different functions, such as bass or tenor, etc. Or it may suggest that multiple complementary harps were used to make a full scale. I'm really hoping that the 3-string harp was just made by some underachieving student in harp building class. And that's the thing with history. What if they screwed up? What if they were joking? What if it was made by a 2-year-old? It gives me hope that long after I'm gone, I could become a famous painter in a post-apocalyptic society where historians have mistaken a whole bunch of my preschool hand turkeys for serious art. Anyway, we've already seen some of the woodwinds, but there was also a large range of those too. Flutes were not transverse like modern flutes, but they were made of reed and were about a yard long. Pictures show players using both hands, however there is no evidence of any more than 3 holes on a flute. These holes were just too far apart for one hand to play. And much like the harp, it may imply that there was complementary flutes, or that these flutes had bass accompaniment. Thanks for watching this episode of Music and History. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss an episode. And if you like this video, please share it with your friends. Also be sure to follow @2MinuteMusic on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And if you're a musicologist who'd like to collaborate, please send me a direct message. I'd love to work with you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.